Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. So today I'm going to analyze a game and that happened between Aryan Tari and Magnus Carlsen in Norway Armageddon 2021. So without any further ado, let's check out the game. The game started with we have Aryan with the white pieces, Carlsen with the black pieces, and Aryan Tari opens 1 e4, Magnus responds with 1 e5. We have knight to f3 from Aryan attacking this pawn on e5, and we have knight to c6 defending the pawn. And we have bishop to b5 attacking the knight, and not necessarily attacking the knight, but developing the bishop, and also castles. White is ready to castle, and we have e6 asking bishop a question. You want to capture my knight, you want to back off. So Aryan just backs off for now, but keeping his aim still at the knight. So knight to f6 attacking this pawn. And maybe black is also ready to push d5. So castles from Aryan, and we have a bishop to e7, and Magnus is also ready to castle on the king side. Now it's both the players have castle on the king side. It's the race between the pawns. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, now we have b5 from black, further harassing the bishop, and bishop comes back to b3. Now bishop is kind of restricted, so no, Aryan has to play either c3 or a3 to make a little room for the bishop. And castles from Magnus, and we have c3 from Aryan. Now Aryan has made a little room for his bishop, and we have knight to a5 attacking this bishop. And if you were a normal player, you would what you would think is, okay, my a2 pawn is protecting the bishop, so maybe I can just develop other pieces. But the knight still is trying to attack this bishop and mess up your pawn structure on on the b file. So you'd have two double pawns, and that would be a problem for you. So bishop comes back to c2. Now these both bishops are kind of useless. This black dark square bishop is much more useless. So d5 from Magnus, taking space in the center, putting pressure on e4. The knight is also attacking e4, but we have c2 bishop attacking, protecting it too, and even the rook. So we have d4 from Tari. He doesn't want to any d4 ideas from Magnus, and also he wants to open up the center. And we have takes, and we have d takes on e4 attacking the knight. Now these two pawns are kind of dangerous for white, as they kind of restrict white's activity in the center. So first Aryan Tari castles on f5 with the knight, and he has nothing to worry about this pawn because he can simply capture it, because there is good amount of pressure on the pawn. Maybe sometime this knight can also join, put pressure on the pawn sometime. And we have d5 from Magnus, just so if Tari is interested in capturing, Magnus is ready for a queen trade. But we have bishop to b3, developing a dark square bishop from Aryan Tari, defending this pawn, and also now the threat is maybe white can now capture on c5, putting more pressure. Now we have bishop to b7, developing the light square bishop, developing black's light square bishop, and also defending this e4 pawn. The knight and the bishop are doing an excellent job defending this lonely pawn stuck between the white's kingdom. We have knight to d2, putting more pressure on the pawn. The bishop and the knight are attacking it. Maybe this dark square bishop can also move, and the rook can also join the attack. So rook a to c8 from Magnus, gaining control of the c file. Uh, Now maybe sometime black can capture, and black can get this power, powerful rook activated on the c file. h3 from Aryan, no, not allowing any knight to g4 ideas, because but for now the queen and the white queen and the white knight are defending it, but just so if they move so that black knight, it's kind of this pawn is kind of restricting it. Rook to e8 from Magnus. Magnus is kind of getting ready for some discovery, I guess, by moving his bishop and on the knight. But the knight is for now it is protected by the pawn, so there's nothing white need to worry about. We have knight back to g4 from Aryan, challenging this knight. We have knight to d5 from Magnus, aiming at this dark square bishop, and maybe if the rook captures and or the pawn captures, exposing the king's area, and also in developing the keeping the rook in a kind of awkward position, because maybe the knight can also jump the attack and this pawn would hang then. Okay, now first Aryan captures on Aryan captures on e4 with this light square bishop, and claiming his free pawn. Now knight captures on uh, uh, e3 from Magnus. No, Magnus wanted to get rid of that active dark square bishop, and we have knight captures back on e3, and now bishop c captures on d4, and now again c captures on d4. Now this rook is an active, completely active on the c lane, and now bishop captures on e4, and now knight captures on e4. Now both players traded a good amount of pieces of the board. Now bishop e to b4 from Magnus, attacking the rook, and also opening up a attack on this knight, which is undefended. Uh, uh, so Aryan played of course, every player has to play this move. He comes with his knight back to c3, getting away from the attack, and also blocking the bishop's attack on the rook. No, rook captures on c3, which is a good idea from Magnus. The idea is now you should capture with the if you capture with the pawn, you capture the bishop, and you're both and white is also going to lose one of the rook, which is what exactly actually Magnus played. So he decides to Aryan Tari decides to activate one of his rook. So Magnus captures a1 and queen captures on a1, and now both queens have been inactive till now, but now they're going to come out and make some activity. Knight to c4 from Magnus, putting pressure on the knight. The rook is also attacking the knight and this knight, but white has nothing to worry about because this pawn is defending the knight and the rook too. So Aryan Tari goes queen to e1, just so he wants to make sure there wouldn't be any hanging rook on e2, just because here the rook was undefended, so he wants to add protection to e2. Now knight back to d6 from Magnus. Magnus may want to play f5 and attack the knight and put pressure. But Tari opens a discover on the rook by playing knight to e5. Now Magnus trips of rooks on the board. Now the threat for black is this knight to e7 check, as the queen and the knight, both of them are controlling the square. So Magnus moves his king to f8. This it does not allow now this this e7 is protected. We have knight back to e3. We have g6 from Magnus, developing his pawns. Maybe push his pawns further and attack on the king side. Now queen to f3, putting looking at this straight, aiming at this king. Maybe if the knight moves, sometime this would be the the weakest pawn. King to g7, getting out of the uh, getting out of the way, as well as maybe black can sometime push this f5. We have queen to d5. Tari pins the knight to the Magnus queen, Carlsen's queen. No, but black has nothing to worry here, because he can simply play f6, which he actually did. And now pawn to a3 from Tari. Now these two pawns on this side are kind of very dominant, so this pawn will have a very hard time surviving its journey. Magnus is ready for a queen trade. He moves his queen to e6. No, Tari not interested in any queen trade, moves to c5. Now Tari is kind of targeting this pawn and this pawn. Knight to e4, attacking the queen. Queen back to c2, putting pressure on the knight, and making sure this queen doesn't move, or you will lose, or white simply takes on the knight. We have h5 from Magnus. Magnus wants to attack. He's getting ready to attack on the king side. Queen to d3 from Aryan, putting pressure on the pawn and this pawn. Maybe if this moves to b4, I can take on a6, and then again I can take this pawn. Maintain pressure on the b5 pawn. Knight back to d6 from Magnus, defending this, and also maybe ideas of knight to f5 are coming, to put pressure on the knight. We have queen back to d2. Tari is looking at this square, and also maybe pick up these pawns. Queen to f6 from Magnus, putting pressure on the pawn, and also targeting this pawn. Maybe sometime after the knight joins the attack sometime, and maybe force Aryan Tari to turret of queens. Knight to d5 from Aryan, attacking Carlsen's queen. Again, Carlsen's knight moves to c4, attacking Aryan's queen. Queen to c3 from Aryan, protecting his queen. And we have queen f2 d6, attacking the knight. The knight moves back to b4, and we have a5 from Magnus. Now we have a dangerous position for Magnus Carlsen here. So these three white pieces will have very hard time surviving this. Knight back to c2, and we have e4. So the Magnus locks up the position, and it doesn't allow this pawn to travel. Queen to d3. Aryan still maintains pressure on, still keeps an eye on this pawn. The knight is also keeping an eye, but at the same time, both Carlsen's queen and Carlsen's knight are attacking this pawn. So Aryan Tari has to keep an eye on it. h4 from Magnus, and maybe if Aryan has played something like maybe if he's going to play g3, Carlsen can capture and expose the king a little bit. Queen d5 from Aryan, maybe he's also ready, like it's time for me to push some pawns here. And queen to e5 from Magnus, looking at this check, and also maybe gaining control of this lane. And we have knight to e3, blocking the queen's control and also attacking the knight. So first Carlsen gives a check on a1, king moves back to h2, and again Carlsen gives a check on mm, uh, e5. Maybe if Tari played something like captures I mean g3, he can capture and expose. Now the king is widely exposed on the second rank. So again king moves back to g1 from Aryan. Then we have knight captures on e3. Um, and now Tari decided to capture with the pawn here instead. But let's see what happens if he captures with the queen. So if queen captures, pawn captures, and we can have this move from black. Now black has to definitely take this, and now there's no stopping this monster pawn. It's definitely becoming a queen. So Tari took with the pawn instead, and we have the same idea from Magnus. He wants to uh, put pressure on. He wants to make way for his a4 pawn, and we have d6 from Aryan. He's just two steps away to having a second queen on the board, and we have a check from Magnus. King goes to f2. Now the king is exposed, and we have captures on a3. Now these two pawns are monster pawns, and white queen defending them. It's game over actually for white. d7 from Aryan Tari, and he's ready to bring a queen, and we have a queen to f6 check from Magnus. Again check and also controlling this square. We have king to e2, and now we have a2 from Magnus. Magnus is also ready to get a queen, as the queen is also defending this square, so it would be impossible for the white queen to stop this pawn. Now we have a second white queen on the board. Magnus captures, Tari captures, and we have a black second queen on the board. Now Tari captures on h4, putting pressure on the pawn. Maybe if sometime black queen moves, Tari can pick up this pawn. Sorry. And we have a3, and it was in this position that Aryan Tari resigned the game, as he cannot tolerate the fact that there's a second queen coming, black queen coming onto the board. Actually, third black queen coming onto the board. Um, So he's in the game, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know in the comments about your thoughts and feelings on this game. Please like, share and subscribe for more videos. Thank you.